Commander Jack Harlow stood at the viewport of Outpost 7, watching the last human transport ship break Earth's atmosphere. His jaw tightened as the massive vessel joined the Exodus fleet hanging in orbit like a constellation of man-made stars. "Final transport clear," said Lieutenant Reyes, her voice flat with exhaustion. "That's it, sir. Earth is empty." Jack nodded, not trusting himself to speak. 6 billion people evacuated in secret over 18 months, the greatest migration in human history, and the Galactic Council had no idea. "Activate the holograms," he ordered. Reyes pressed her palm against the console. Across the abandoned cities of Earth, sophisticated projectors flickered to life. False energy signatures. Empty vehicles moving on automated paths. Heat signatures in buildings where no one lived. "The Council ships have entered the solar system," said Communications Officer Patel. 3 minutes to visual range. Jack checked his watch. Right on schedule. The Council's ultimatum expired today. Humans would accept permanent containment on Earth with restricted technology or face extinction. Their crime: successfully defending themselves against the Vraxian incursion that had killed millions. Too violent for galactic society, the Council had declared, a danger to civilized species. Jack remembered standing in the Grand Council chamber 6 months ago, listening to the verdict. The Vraxians had attacked human colonies without warning, yet humans were condemned for fighting back too effectively. The Council feared human military potential more than Vraxian aggression. "Council diplomatic vessel requesting permission to land at Geneva Spaceport," Patel announced. "Granted," Jack said. "Then initiate final departure sequence." The small team around him worked in silence. They were the last humans on Earth, tasked with maintaining the illusion until the Council representatives landed. Through the external cameras, Jack watched the sleek Council ship descend toward the empty city. Ambassador Zorl, the Council's envoy, would find pristine streets, automated services, and not a single human being. "Outpost systems transferred to automated control," Reyes confirmed. "Countdown initiated." The team moved quickly to the small shuttle docked at the outpost's rear. Jack took one last look at the blue planet below. Humanity's cradle, now abandoned. "Do you think we'll ever come back?" Reyes asked quietly. "That depends on the Council," Jack replied, "and whether they learn their lesson." The shuttle detached silently, its stealth systems masking their departure as they accelerated toward the rendezvous point beyond Mars. The main fleet waited there, thousands of ships carrying the entire human population, ready to jump to coordinates outside Council space. Jack's personal console beeped. The outpost's sensors were still transmitting. On screen, he watched Ambassador Zorl's confused face as the alien diplomat found the Geneva spaceport functioning, but deserted. "Sir," Patel said suddenly, "I'm picking up emergency transmissions across Council frequencies." Jack frowned. "Source? Multiple Council worlds. They're under attack." Patel looked up, eyes wide. "It's the Vraxians. They've launched a full-scale offensive against the Council's core systems." The shuttle fell silent. The timing wasn't coincidental. The Vraxians had waited until humanity, the only species that had ever successfully fought them, was contained. Except humans weren't contained. They were gone. On screen, Ambassador Zorl received the emergency transmission. The ambassador's face drained of color as the realization hit. The only species that had ever defeated the Vraxians was now gone, and they had taken their weapons with them. The Vraxian warships tore through the Centauri defense line like paper. Council ships exploded in silent bursts of light against the blackness of space. On the command deck of the Council flagship, Counselor Zeth watched the tactical display with growing horror as another world fell. "Proxima Centauri has gone dark," reported a junior officer. "That's the 5th Council world in 2 weeks." Zeth's four-fingered hand gripped the railing. He had opposed the human containment policy from the beginning, but the Council majority had overruled him. Now they were paying the price. "Any response from Earth?" he asked. "None, Counselor. Ambassador Zorl confirms the planet appears inhabited, but no humans will respond to communication attempts. Zeth knew the truth. The monitoring satellites had recorded the mass exodus, but that information had been classified. Only the highest council members knew that humanity had simply left rather than accept their punishment. "We need to find them," Zeth said firmly. "The humans are our only hope." 3 systems away, Commander Jack Harlow supervised the construction of New Haven Base in the Oort cloud of an unclaimed star system. Massive habitat rings took shape as construction ships moved like busy insects around the framework. "Reactor core installation complete," reported Chief Engineer Dawson. "We'll have full power in 48 hours. Jack nodded. "Good. What about the defense grid?" "Operational at 60% capacity. Enough to hide us from casual scans, but not a determined search." The human fleet had scattered across 12 hidden locations, maintaining minimal communication. 6 billion people living in ships and hastily built stations, waiting to see if the council would come begging. They didn't have to wait long. "Sir," Lieutenant Reyes called from her station. "We have 3 council vessels approaching on Vector 7. They're broadcasting diplomatic codes and request permission to dock." Jack's face hardened. Interesting timing. The Vraxians attack and suddenly they want to talk. He ordered the visitors directed to the half-finished diplomatic bay. When the airlock cycled open, Counselor Zeth stepped through with 2 aides. Their faces showed a mixture of awe and desperation. "Commander Harlow," Zeth said, bowing slightly. "I come on behalf of the Galactic Council to request humanity's assistance against the Vraxian threat." Jack didn't offer to shake hands. The same council that condemned us for defending ourselves against the Vraxians? The same council that would have trapped us on Earth until we forgot how to build starships? "I opposed that decision," Zeth said quickly. "Many of us did." "Not enough of you." Jack activated a holographic display. "This is a transmission we intercepted 6 months ago between Council Security Chief Morden and the Vraxian High Command." The recording played, showing clear evidence of a deal. The Council would contain humanity in exchange for the Vraxians sparing Council core worlds. "You sacrificed us," Jack said coldly. "You hoped the Vraxians would be satisfied with human worlds on the rim." Zeth's skin paled. "I didn't know. Now you do, and now you can leave." "Please," Zeth begged. "Millions are dying. The Vraxians won't stop with our worlds. They'll find you eventually." Jack signaled security to escort the delegation out. "That's our problem to solve, not yours." As the council members were led away, Jack's secure terminal chimed. A message from Zeth, transmitted directly to his personal channel. Jack opened it to find coordinates and technical specifications, detailed information about the Vraxian homeworld and their defense systems. A note accompanied the data. "The Council has had this information for 27 years and never used it. Perhaps humanity will be braver than we were." The war room fell silent as Jack finished presenting Zeth's data. 20 military leaders sat around the table, faces grim in the blue light of the holographic display showing the Vraxian homeworld. "We should let the Council burn," said Admiral Keyes, her voice hard with anger. "They were ready to sacrifice us." "This isn't about the Council," Jack replied. "It's about the Vraxians. They won't stop at Council worlds." General Martinez leaned forward. "The Vraxian homeworld is heavily defended. A direct assault would cost thousands of lives." "Not if we strike surgically," Jack said, zooming in on a section of the display. "Their command structure is centralized. We hit their neural network hub, we cripple their entire fleet." The door slid open and Dr. Alan Frost entered, carrying a metal case. The scientist looked exhausted, dark circles under his eyes. "Tell them what you showed me," Jack said. Frost placed the case on the table and opened it. Inside sat a device the size of a human hand, pulsing with faint blue light. "This is a neural disruptor," Frost explained. "It targets the specific frequency Vraxians use for their hive communication. It won't kill them, but it will paralyze their command structure. "How close do we need to get?" Martinez asked. "Inside their central defense platform," Frost said. "The device needs to be physically connected to their network." The room erupted in objections. A suicide mission. Impossible. Too risky. Jack raised his hand for silence. "I'll lead the strike team myself. We need a small force that can slip past their outer defenses while the main fleet creates a diversion." 4 days later, the human fleet jumped into Vraxian space. 50 warships against hundreds of Vraxian vessels. On the bridge of the assault carrier Defiance, Jack watched the battle unfold. "Enemy ships responding to the diversion," reported the tactical officer. "Defense platform's attention is focused on the main fleet." Jack nodded to his strike team. 6 ships, each carrying 20 soldiers and Dr. Frost's device. They launched from the Defiance's bay, running dark as they accelerated toward the massive Vraxian defense platform. "Council ships detected entering the system," called out the communications officer. "They're attempting to join the battle." On the view screen, Jack watched as Vraxian weapons tore through the unprepared Council vessels. They had followed the humans, hoping to claim credit for any victory. Instead, they were being slaughtered. "Focus on our mission," Jack ordered, approaching target in 30 seconds. The strike ships weaved through debris and weapons fire. 2 were hit, exploding in bright flashes. The remaining 4 reached the platform's docking area. "Breach teams, go," Jack ordered, leading his soldiers through the airlock. Inside, they met heavy resistance. Vraxian warriors swarmed the corridors, their chitinous bodies absorbing weapons fire. Jack's team fought room by room toward the central control node. "We're pinned down," Martinez reported over the comm. "Can't reach the target." Jack looked at the device in his hand, then at the schematics on his wrist display. There was another way. "Cover me," he ordered, breaking from cover to reach a maintenance shaft. Weapons fire followed him as he climbed through the narrow passage. The ship rocked from a direct hit. Warning lights flashed. The platform's defenses were targeting his ship specifically. Jack reached the upper level and saw the neural network hub across an open chamber. Dozens of Vraxians stood between him and the target. His ship took another hit. The deck beneath him shuddered. "Engine core breach," came the frantic call. "We're going to lose the ship." Jack looked at the failing ship attached to the platform, then at the neural hub. A desperate plan formed in his mind. "All teams, fall back to secondary extraction points," he ordered. "I'm staying." He overrode the ship's safety protocols, setting its damaged engine to overload. As his team evacuated, Jack took manual control of the dying vessel. With a violent wrench of the controls, he detached from the docking clamps and aimed the ship directly at the central control node. A suicide mission with only seconds to impact. Jack woke to darkness and pain. His body felt crushed under metal debris. The taste of blood filled his mouth. He blinked, trying to clear his vision as emergency lights flickered on. He had jumped to the escape pod at the last second. The ship had crashed into the Vraxian control node, but the pod had been thrown deep into the station's lower levels. "Still alive," he muttered, pushing twisted metal off his chest. "That's something." His comm unit crackled with static. The battle still raged above. He checked his equipment. The neural disruptor had survived, still pulsing blue in its case. The crash hadn't completed the mission. Jack forced himself to stand, using the wall for support. A scan showed he was near the detention level. Strange. Why would the Vraxians need prison cells if they killed all enemies? He followed the corridor, weapon ready. The few Vraxians he encountered seemed disoriented from the crash, making them easier to avoid. When he reached the detention area, what he saw stopped him cold. Hundreds of cells lined the walls. Inside were council species, Centaurians, Rigelians, even a few Arcturans. They weren't dead, they were being experimented on. "Help us," called a weak voice. A Centaurian scientist pressed against the energy field of his cell. "Please." Jack hesitated only a moment before disabling the security system. The prisoners stumbled out, weak but alive. "What is this place?" Jack demanded. "Research facility," the Centaurian explained. "I am Dr. Naren. They study our neural patterns, our genetic code." "Why?" "To improve themselves." Naren's voice shook. "The Vraxians aren't natural. They're weapons, created by an ancient race called the Precursors. Biological machines designed for war." Jack stared. "How do you know this?" "The Council has known for centuries," said another voice. A Rigelian counselor stepped forward. "I am Counselor Tren. We discovered their origin in our archives. The Vraxians were abandoned when their creators vanished. They've been evolving, improving themselves using other species." Jack felt cold anger rising. "The Council knew and did nothing. You appeased them while they experimented on your people?" "We feared them," Tren admitted. "We hoped containing humanity would satisfy them." A distant explosion rocked the station. Jack's comm unit suddenly activated. "Commander." It was Dr. Frost. "Our sensors show you survived. What's your status?" "I'm in a detention level with Council prisoners," Jack replied. "The disruptor is intact, but I need to reach the secondary control node." "We've mapped a route," Frost said, "sending coordinates now. But hurry, the Vraxians are regrouping." Jack organized the prisoners who could walk. "Stay behind me. We're getting out of here." They moved through the station's damaged corridors, avoiding Vraxian patrols. Jack's side burned with each step. Broken ribs, probably. The secondary control node was 3 levels up. When they reached it, Jack saw the problem immediately. The room was swarming with Vraxian warriors. "We need a distraction," he whispered. Counselor Tren stepped forward. "I can help. Their sensors recognize Council authority codes." Using Tren's access, they triggered alarms in a distant section. Most of the Vraxians rushed to respond, leaving only a few guards. Jack led a quick assault, clearing the room. Dr. Frost guided him through the comm as he connected the neural disruptor to the Vraxian network. "It needs 60 seconds to sync," Frost explained. "Then you activate it manually." The station shook again. On a monitor, Jack saw Vraxian reinforcements heading toward their position. "We're out of time," he said, sealing the doors. It wouldn't hold them long. The disruptor beeped, ready for activation. Jack looked at the Council prisoners, then at the approaching Vraxian forces on the monitor. "What will it do to them?" asked Dr. Naren, pointing at the device. "Frost says it will disrupt their neural network," Jack explained. "But it's never been tested. It might kill them all. It might kill us too if the frequency affects other species." The Vraxians began cutting through the door, their weapons melting the metal. Jack placed his hand on the activation switch. "No choice now," he said, and pressed the button. A high-pitched whine filled the room as the device powered up. Jack braced himself, not knowing if he had just saved everyone or killed them all. The neural disruptor pulsed with blinding light. Jack shielded his eyes as the wave of energy spread through the station. The high-pitched whine faded, replaced by an eerie silence. Jack lowered his arm. The Council prisoners stood frozen, watching the door. The Vraxians had stopped cutting through. "Is everyone okay?" Jack asked. Nods all around. No one had been harmed. Jack approached the door cautiously and peered through the half-melted opening. Vraxian warriors stood motionless in the corridor, their limbs locked in place. The disruptor had worked. They were paralyzed but alive, trapped in their own bodies. "Commander Harlow, do you copy?" His comm crackled with Martinez's voice. "I copy," Jack replied. "The device worked. The Vraxians are neutralized." "Same here. Their ships just stopped fighting. They're drifting dead in space." Jack led the prisoners through the corridors past frozen Vraxians. When they reached an observation deck, he saw the battle had ended. Human ships surrounded the immobilized Vraxian fleet. In the distance, the few surviving Council vessels hung back, uncertain. Rescue shuttles arrived within the hour. As medics treated the freed prisoners, Jack met with his officers on the Defiance's bridge. "The effect is system-wide," Dr. Frost explained, studying the data. Every Vraxian connected to their neural network is paralyzed, and the signal is spreading through their communication relays to other systems. Will it kill them? Jack asked. No, they're in stasis. We can keep them this way or find another solution. 3 days later, representatives from all Council worlds gathered on the Defiance. The Council leadership that had survived the Vraxian attacks sat at one end of the conference table, facing Jack and the human commanders. The Galactic Council as it existed has failed, said Councillor Zeth. We hid the truth about the Vraxians. We sacrificed innocent worlds. We feared humanity's potential instead of embracing it as an ally. The Council is dissolved, announced Councillor Tren, still weak from captivity. We propose a new alliance. Equal representation for all species, including humans. Jack studied their faces. And the Vraxians? Doctor, Frost believes we can modify their neural programming, Zeth said. They were weapons, but they could be more. Jack nodded slowly. We'll consider your proposal. Later, alone in his quarters, Jack reviewed a classified file Zeth had provided. Long-range scans from beyond the galaxy's edge showed massive energy signatures, signs of technology far beyond even the precursors who had created the Vraxians. The Council had detected these signals decades ago and hidden the information, fearing panic. Another threat was coming, perhaps worse than the Vraxians. 1 month later, representatives from 27 species gathered on the newly constructed New Haven station. Jack stood at the podium, looking out at the diverse faces. Today, we sign the charter for the Interstellar Alliance, he announced, not built on fear or secrets, but on mutual respect and shared defense. One by one, the representatives came forward to sign. Humans stood as equals among the galactic community, no longer contained or feared. As the ceremony concluded, Jack's personal terminal beeped with an urgent message. The long-range sensors at the edge of Alliance space had detected movement. The energy signatures from beyond the galaxy were getting closer. Jack looked out at the celebration, at species who had been enemies now standing together. They had survived the Vraxians. They had overcome centuries of Council manipulation. But the real test was still coming. He stepped away from the crowd and opened a secure channel to Fleet Command. Begin preparations, he ordered quietly. We need to be ready. On the display, the unknown signals multiplied, advancing steadily toward Alliance space. The Vraxians had been created as weapons against this very threat. Now that threat had finally arrived. Jack watched the distant stars through the viewport. Humanity had left Earth quietly, but they would not face this new enemy with silence. This time, the entire Alliance would stand together. The real war was just beginning.